All right, it's 5:32 and I call this meeting to order. Let's stand for the pledge and agree to I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thanks, everyone. All right, our first item is to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second. We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. It's unanimous. Okay, Brad, safety minute and cool moment.
Yeah, so, safety moment, couple things. One thing I thought was, actually this could go for the cool moment too, but we had so with our new meters, we know exactly when a meter does not show power or has some type of issue, right? And so we actually had a meter that just kept coming in, coming out, coming in, coming out. Obviously there was an issue, so we sent a guy out to take a look at it, and the socket on the meter pedestal was actually bad, and to the point where it had literally like melted all the stuff that was in it. In fact, one of the meter guys said that if it had been like that for longer, it could have caught fire. So it's an instance where I think it's very neat now that we have the technology that literally we can save somebody's life from a fire, possibly, because that is the member equipment, being the lugs and all that. But I thought that was really a neat safety moment to again see that thing could have caught fire. We'd have never known about it until the fire had already been happened. This way we knew something was wrong with it, so we sent somebody out. Found out it was the sockets had to all be replaced and everything. So I thought that was neat. Second thing, Child Safety Protection Month. So if you got any children or any grandchildren, I'm sure you have things in place to protect them. Cool moment, two things. Number one, when I give my fiber update, you'll hear this, but we are 100% complete with mainline fiber construction in all areas at this point. So everything is completely done. We do have a few splices that are still working. There are a few splices we've got to do yet, but other than mainline construction, we are done. Second of all, on our meters, today was the last day for our contractors on meters. I'll give you an update on what we got to do left, but basically the mass exchange with our contractors is done as of this afternoon. So I thought that was a really
just for I've had a couple of people come in and say, they're changing meters, what are they doing? Changing meters. And there's something going around, somebody's saying that change the meters or changing it, make it go faster. I don't know, I just heard a bunch of talk about it, and I said, well, here's what you do. Make sure you check your meter and check if you're gonna, write it down, see what it is.
Yep.
Make sure it's properly. If your bill is extremely higher than it was the month before, or you never changed anything, well, we'll contact you.
Yeah, let us know. We'll do too. So we're monitoring. We have reporting that we're doing every day on these new meters. So anything that would be funky, whether slow, high, whatever, we would notice. Yep. No, I get it. We've heard a little bit about everything. Good news is we are done, other than, and I'll give you an update.
all right. For your information, anybody have any questions based upon any of the items that are presented to us? Anyone? Questions? More time? Brian, you good? All right. Well, we'll continue on then with approval of last month's meeting minutes from October. So we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. It's unanimous then. Next item then, Brad, is CEO update.
Yeah, so we'll hit my update up real quick. So a couple things, I got two updates, fiber project and then obviously the meter program. I am skipping the metrics update this month, so I'll pause once we get done with these updates. If you have any questions, we can get those up. So from a fiber standpoint, phase one mainline construction is 100% complete. I just said that. We are still doing some splicing on the system and finishing up some light testing. We are open FSAs in D4 and 5. We're about 75% open in 4 and 5, and then 6 is coming. So if you look at the map there, 6 is the top, very top over by you, Steve. That is 6, so that's the one that's not open. 75% is open on the 2 that are below the top one. So the kind of pinkish to the left and the green to the right. Everything else is completely open. There are more openings in those 2 areas than we've been able to make phone calls. And so if you guys talk to people that are in any of these areas, just tell them to call in if they have any questions, if they're available or not, or they can get on our website. We are making a ton of phone calls. So there are 1,049 addresses that are open and available for service. We've had 211 sign up so far. So we've been really, really happy with the signups. We do plan to do a mass email and some other marketing brochure stuff the first week in December, and look to continue to call each member. So we have a spreadsheet list that has every member on there. We're calling those. We've actually got 3 folks that are spending quite a bit of time making those phone calls. Seems like about 30% right off the bat are taking it. And there's a lot, the other ones are things like, hey, give me a little bit of time. Can you send me some information? So we'll start to follow up on those with marketing campaign here in December. Phase 2 and BEAD update. We've started a high level design of the backbone and the lateral lines, working on getting updated maps to the website so that people can see if they will be a part of phase 2 or not. The tricky part there is you got to have the design to really understand, okay, hey, this is an address that we're going by. It wasn't a granted address, but it's an address we're going by. We're going to serve it, right? And the fact that the way the maps work is a polygon. So you have to be able to draw a polygon in there. And so you can't do it on like a single address. And so the problem becomes, well, this one may be a granted address and this one isn't. So how do I get the polygon around there? So we're working all those bugs out with the maps. We've made a lot of headway on it. So we're hoping, at the beginning of the year, we'll be able to have all that stuff updated where anybody can go in there and know, are they going to be a part of phase 2 or not? That's really been the question for me. We have started with 2 crews in the field to document the system and to document the make ready stuff. So if you hear of people in the other areas that are that's phase 2, that's what they're doing, but down Millhouse Road. So I know we've got a few calls there. They're doing make ready stuff. So they're shooting the poles and figuring out where we need to hang it and doing the design stuff. We have kicked off the work with Entrust to do their environmental. So we'll be doing some environmental work early on, which needs to be completed before we start. So that's kind of the B2 stuff. We did hear yesterday, so I don't know if you guys heard or not, Steve Cox, who's the IBO director, I guess he is leaving. He's retiring. He kind of jumped back out of retirement to do this project. So he's going back home to South Bend. Sam and I met with him yesterday just to let him know our success story and congratulate him. I think he did an excellent job with the state of Indiana. And talking to him, he thought we would probably hear something December 2nd. Weekish, somewhere around there. So I don't think we're too far away from getting the thumbs up. He didn't see anything that was really going to change from here out until we get our approval. So we're probably a week or 2 away from getting the final here's your thing. We did go ahead, he did give us the documentation that was submitted today that allows us to go ahead and do the work ahead of time like we planned on doing, right? So that all that could be reimbursed, because some of these grants this grant has on there, you can't start until you get the approval. You can start, but you wouldn't get reimbursed. Well, we will. It'll be part of the grant. We got all the paperwork. So, any fiber questions?
Sweet top section up there, how soon?
Top section, he didn't give me a date. I'll get back with you on that, Steve. I don't want to give you something that's not correct. It's soon. Yeah, it'll probably be open by the end of the year for sure. I'll give you a date.
We gave you the go ahead to order the fiber. What's the lead time on that?
I do not know off the top of my head. I do know it has been ordered. I gave you guys the actual cost last month. I don't know the lead time. I do know it was within the realm of what we thought. But I don't know the actual time.
I guess that's not really my main question. Be like, when you think you could start putting it up? But man, as soon as we get here, we would start. Or
No, I mean, I think we're looking at probably into January is when we could actually start building. That's my best guess. I'll find out and let you know. So lead time is start. That might be error.
I don't think they really care.
Any other questions?
Out of the 211 members that we have on fiber, is there any or many concerns that have come out of that? In other words, is it working very smoothly for them?
We have heard absolutely no complaints other than the very first person that we put in there dogging it up. So we had to go out and replace part of the secondary. But other than that, we have heard nothing but good things. I actually got a call from a member the other day that just said, and actually, we made the decision to do 2 visits. Remember, that was going to be a cost increase to do the 2 visits, but we felt like meeting with the member to make sure that we're running it where it needs to be instead of just following the electricity. This person gave me this scenario that where the electric goes in would not have worked for her house due to the way, and they had an easy access point just around the corner. She said that it was a flawless install. She said she's moved all around the country and that was the easiest install she's ever had in her life. And she said, not only did it save us a lot of money and time, it saved her a lot of grief of having to run this thing through her house and all that, because they were able to go in a copper pipe where they didn't have to drill through a brick wall and all this stuff. So that really made me feel good that the call we made and the extra expense that we put in to go ahead and do the 2 visits instead of the 1 was no, we have heard nothing but good things. We've had no outages.
On your metrics, you had an uptick in October, and mostly because of vehicles and other machinery. Could you speak to that?
Yeah, it was, there was 1 or 2, I mean, it's farming related.
Both of those
Yeah.
didn't we have wasn't there a dump truck problem? Was that in October?
That was the month before. That was a county. This one, I believe, was mainly caused by 1. Well, there was 2 major ones that caused that up too. It's the time of year right now where that's pretty common. Do you want me to provide? I can get specifics if you want.
Well,
I believe there was 2, but no, the big one you're talking about was the month prior. Yeah.
It would have been August.
Right.
September was very low.
No, not unless anybody else has any questions on projects or metrics. I mean, the metrics were pretty boring, really.
We got all the information. Does anybody have any questions regarding metrics? And continue with your finish.
Yep.
Balance.
All right, start off with the balance sheet. Increase in plant We're moving right along at the very top there. Lots of work being done. Total current accrued assets, we had a cash increase from the prior month. That makes up the bulk of that. Every month it's been fiber and RF meter project. Lots of invoices coming in on both those. Same thing, that's increasing the accrued liabilities. And then letter C is long-term debt. We did borrow $1 million in October. We also borrowed $1 million here last week as well. So on long-term money. So we're moving the money from the short-term debt to the long-term debt as we, on a regular basis, spread the interest rate risk.
Matthew, which column is 10, 30, 25, and 9?
Oh, 30, 25. The one in the middle is 10, 30. Okay. One. I guess I forgot that.
You see the drop in, interest was, I've seen.
Yeah, the interest has dropped some. In general, there's, I don't, they talk like they might have a rate cut in December, and I did see that the 10-year treasury is back down around 4%, but it's not a screaming go this way, go that way. So it's kind of like it spread the risk.
Yeah, our strategy has been turn short-term to long-term over a period of time so that we're not.
Short term is cheaper than the long term still. So I've been slowly doing it.
Well, and then I see it here on the or the total current liability, current and accrued liabilities line, an $864,000 increase since last month. But if you look at the previous year, $7 million. I didn't notice it here until just now. Where I noticed it on was the current assets to current liabilities ratio on the balance sheet. And
yeah,
the trend has been a significant, steady decline.
We have lots of, we have several $1 million out on our line of credit.
Short term.
Yeah, that's why your current liabilities and all that money has been put into long-term assets.
You got a 30-year asset.
Yeah.
Short term.
Yeah. It makes that ratio look not so good.
And if interest was equal, we'd long-term fix it right off the bat, but we're saving about 1.5% to.
And on that kind of money, it's,
And from what I look, CFC is a thing on projected interest rates each week, and they don't really project any increases. They show, it varies. Some week they show it going down a little, some weeks they don't know either. I mean, I don't know that I don't have strong feelings either way as to what I think the best decision is. So I figure if you spread it out over time, you'll get some of them wrong and some of them right. And in the end, you'll get the average. Any other questions on the balance sheet? Next, we have the operations. Still running higher revenue than budgeted. Same thing with power costs. We are 3.4% ahead on our KWH sales. So at this point, I'd say we're probably going to end over for the year. I mean, with being this far along in that regard. The only other thing really to note with that is we also have, there is in the operating revenue, one of the reasons it's come back pretty close now. There also is some of the third party communicator, the money that they paid netting against that as we go. So that will probably, that's why it's leveling up. And it also includes like it shows on letter C there. So there's a significant amount in there. Then D, realistically, those I marked it just because I know it doesn't cross the 250 and the 5%, but I felt like the short-term interest is over budget. Depreciation is because we have put a lot more assets in and we have borrowed short-term money. So than what was budgeted on the short term. Now, we have definitely, we haven't borrowed as much long term, but any questions on but in general, I mean, we're right in line. I mean, less than 1% difference on your total margin. So, or I guess it's 4%. Can't get my glasses. And then cash, said the cash is up about $500,000. Bunch of that is we borrowed the $1 million long term and came back in. Next, there's plant. Biggest thing of note there is the pole replacements. We've done a bunch more pole replacements. Also had several transformers purchased. At the end of the year, you will see the meters will all hit. We're going to capitalize all those ideally by the end of the year. So that will, one thing of note there that will impact on the operating is I did speak to our auditors and they agreed that typically you are required to capitalize the labor of installing the meters. However, since we pay a third party to install the meters, they agreed with my thought that that would be double dipping. So we will not be capitalizing all the labor in meters. So that will in turn reduce the margin throughout the year, as it will. The labor that is in the operations department will not as much will be capitalized, so it will be expensed.
Or internal.
It's a conservative treatment to expense it versus capitalize it. And he agreed, since we are paying somebody to do them, it would almost be overly aggressive to take our labor and their labor and put it together. So that will have an impact at year end.
So our internal labor is going to be expensed.
Yes. From a plant standpoint, that's the biggest thing is the pole replacements. They're moving right along with that. I know we talked last month about additional. I think we need to ask for more additional.
Is that number in that October figure? It's not.
What number?
That 250 we talked about last month of the 26. We were going to bring 250 forward of the 26.
I didn't update the budget. No, I did not update the budget.
But I mean, in that $2 million, those are just going in there as they're coming in.
Yes, there's also the third party attacher. There's money going in there too as we get it and bill it out. So there's a significant chunk of money for that as well. But there also is meter poles. There's the red tag meter poles. They're doing them way faster than we anticipated, as well as they're doing poles that were red tagged in 25 to be replaced in 26. They've done a bunch of them as well.
So we continue to accelerate that if time and weather allows to the end of the year, or will we?
That's what we're asking for.
That's what we're asking for. Yes. If the crew is here and they can get her done, just let them keep going.
Will that at any point affect the whole testing schedule? Like, is that going to throw that you kind of have a natural decay and the natural rotation of that?
My strategy is we'll see what next year brings. And if we want to, eventually it will, right? Eventually it will.
I guess I'm asking.
If we replace them now versus in June, what difference does it make?
Well, because is it a calendar date depending on when they get tested? That's what my question is. So if you accelerate 26 and 25, all those 25 poles have to be tested in year X.
It's based off the testing year, not the replacement.
If you put some in at 26, then they would get tested.
I believe I can't, I'm not 100% certain on this, but I believe the RUS guidelines is based off testing, not on placement. Yeah. If you test it, you have 10 years to test it again. So if you replace it this year.
But when does the clock start?
I think it's a testing clock, if I remember reading it right. but I'd have to.
You know what I'm getting at? Like you
Think so,
could
yeah.
get in, if you really accelerated that, you could get yourself in a situation where we've got the 10% rejection rate. We've tested this many more polls. So now that next year or whenever that comes due, we've got that many more to replace. So you're putting yourself in a bind way down the road. I don't know.
I honestly think what we'll end up doing is slowing down next year. We're just, right now we have crews in place. It's cheaper to keep the crews in place and keep.
And I'm all for that. I'm just saying if it was a deal of if it's replaced in December of 25 versus June of 26.
I don't think that
it
makes any
testing schedule.
I don't, yeah.
I think it's a test to test, not a replace to replace. I'm pretty sure that's true because
But my guess is what we're going to do is whatever we test next year, right? We probably will slow that way down. In other words, we're not going to like test in January and then start replacing those that we just tested in the next month. I mean, we'll slow that way down. We're just getting ahead of it. It's not like this, us keep going isn't going to necessarily get us into an early cycle. That's not the strategy. Strategy is they're here. Let's keep them going. And when they get done with these, it'll just be a longer delay before we have it back. It's all it's going to be.
Well, I support the work getting done.
Otherwise-
I just want to get in the bind.
Right. Otherwise, we're going to get into the issues you're thinking of. For sure. The goal here is not to go from the cycle we're on to something less. The goal is it's cheaper to keep them here while they're here instead of bringing
well,
them
they'll
back.
have a rate increase the first of the year too.
Correct. Questions? Any questions? Are we ready to go on? All right. See some head shaking, so. All right, capital credits. So to stay on a 30-year cycle, basically all we did was we took the amount, just like we normally do per policy, we take the amount that's unretired, you divide it by 30, tells you what you need to retire. So that number is 703,799. And then we went to the oldest year, which was 1998, picked up 74,000 there, went to 1999, picked up 388 there, and then went to 2000, picked up 240. That gets us to 703,799. So that keeps us on a 30-year rotation. That's Decatur County RMC's credits. If you go to Hoosier's is 281,153. This is the does not include special retirement. What we'll do with special retirement is we'll bring that to you next year. You guys can decide kind of what you want to do with it at that point. It's been kind of consistent with what we've done in the past. So again, with the 281,153, we just go to the oldest year, which is 1994, 1995. We picked up those 40. Pretty self-explanatory.
Fred or Matt, and I remember part of this, so I'm going to ask for clarification. On the master spreadsheet, if you look at the retired year column, there's a whole lot of 2025s.
So he asked me this question.
That are small amounts, but it has to do with something.
That's what I did.
We asked this question last year and I cannot remember what the answer is. So I got an action item. Go back and look at that. We did ask this last year.
It's both on the Hoosier and on REMC. Yeah, it's both sides. And I thought it had something to do with.
I can't remember.
There was,
but I know we asked it last year.
That it ends up jetting.
I took an action item. In fact, when we get into something else, I'll get offline here and I can probably look up because I know we had an action item on that last year. Steve asked me right before the meeting and I'm like, I can't remember.
So if you do it that way, you're going to be far ahead of a 30-year retirement.
Well, on a year basis, we're doing it on take the total dollars cumulative, right?
But Jason, when you get down to some of those bigger years, it'll get to, you know what I'm saying? I like the way we do it, even though it can put you a little, we are in front of 30 by year wise, but This is the way the policy has us do it.
Yeah, you're actually closer to about 26 years.
That's,
It's okay. That's good.
yeah, no, it's- once we hit those big years though, we'll be there for a while.
And ahead on the construction schedules on.
We will need approval of both resolutions.
Right, so we can move them together, motion to
If there's no more discussion, I'll make that motion.
approve both resolutions. Okay. We have a first,
Second.
Suzanne, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the
Aye.
same. Okay, it's unanimous then.
Right away. Okay, so every year we get asked by our contractors, can we get started early? Not get started early, but can we bank this work so that we can, for their budgeting cycles, know what they're doing? It's easier on them to get manning. It's good for everybody. So we actually, Johnny got all the bids sent out, and we received all the bids in, and we are ready to go. So one thing is, you see the number is 1.145. I'd like to say that this is the second year in a row now that we are starting to see the fruits of what we were set out to do. And so I think that's awesome. Anyway, what we would like to do is go ahead and get approval for the plan. This is what we put in the budget, but we would like to we've awarded these preliminary as of this morning. We would like to get the contracts signed and sent over tomorrow. So be asking approval, and you can see in 26 what we're doing. We're doing the new point 2, 3, centers 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then it includes mowing all the others.
The 2005 column, so this was not land work, this was actually completed. So every circuit was mowed in 25.
Yes. And I apologize, that should, in 26, everything that's up there that's white should be yellow.
So it'll all get mowed again in 26.
Absolutely.
Our whole circuit's gonna be addressed one.
And what is ACRT?
So ACRT is the group that, so when we moved from the union crews doing our right of way to someone else managing it, that's who's managing. So they manage all of our right of way stuff. They inspect it. They basically do what we had our two guys doing. Our meter guys.
So that would be in June 26.
Yes. We actually tested it this year. It's worked out really, really well. He's actually an arborist too.
So in subsequent years, 7, 8, 9, you're mowing, so you're essentially saying you're going to continue to mow it in totality every year.
Absolutely. That's the strategy.
Eventually though.
Eventually.
It will be cheaper because it won't be as much.
We're hoping though, if we keep mowing it, that you'll get to a point where you won't have anything coming out.
Fire. Mowing will go pretty quick and be way cheaper.
Should be.
What about? Fires. I mean, close to the line. I've mentioned it to this guy a couple of times, said, you ought to move that. And, he's taking tree trimming stuff apart and put it in a spot. And it's within the 15 feet. So I'm telling you, you ought to move that.
Yeah, I agree. If you know of spots where they're at, let us know. We'll we can get some.
I'll mention to him again. And I even offered to take the tractor and move it for him. We'll see what I can do.
You know, people laugh about that, but no, you're right. It's a real concern. In fact, Federate's talking about like even people in Indiana are going to have to do a fire mitigation plan at some point soon. It's for stuff like that and in fields.
So you'd like us to approve this?
Yes.
Anybody have any additional questions?
Was there multiple bids? What company even is this? I don't see.
Yeah, I didn't put that in here. It is, it's about, yes, we went out to like 7. There were 7 different folks that bid on it. And I think we ended up with 5 different ones that we went. One being a new company. We had them do a little bit of work today or this year, and they're picking up quite a bit next year. So there's 5 altogether. There were 7 that we actually had bidded. I can put that out there if you guys want me to. In fact, I'm not sure why I didn't put it out here. That answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, that's just stuff, we usually do see.
I will throw it out there just so you're aware of it though. You'll see some new names on the list though.
In 25, we mentioned the 1.6. Was that what was in the budget last year? Did we add something recently to where we're going to allow you to do? No. Okay, so that's what was in the budget last year.
1.6, I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Or no, it was something lower than that, I think, wasn't it? Remember what was in the budget for Iowa? Oh, yeah, he's gonna.
Yeah, I just looked.
Was it 1.6, Suzanne?
Yes, I just looked it up and copied it for myself. Hang on just a second. It was 1.603 for last year, and in 2023, it was 1.182.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions?
So I need a motion to approve. Dollar amount question.
So
We go first, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those who say
Brett, you're going to put that additional information out there.
Actually, I'll have it in there for you later. I don't know why I didn't put it in there. All right, on this next one, if you don't mind, there is some vendor specific information in here that is specific to them. So please don't say numbers or vendors. But we do have an opportunity here. So there's roughly 5 acres in the back. What we're suggesting doing here is anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5. We went with 3.5 as far as costing. May be able to get away with 2.5. The fence is for everything. So the fence is going to encompass. So we put that new pool yard training program kind of on the other side of the fence. This is encompassing all that, all the way back and all the way over. So it's going to basically be pretty much follow all the open space that's in the back.
Outside of the swamp.
Outside of the swamp area that's in the very, very, very back. So that's the fence. And then we can remove the topsoil, put a gravel lot down. Again, the price here is for 3.5 acres. May not need that much, although it might not be a bad idea. But to do this business case, we went ahead and put the 3.5. So fence won't ever have to be moved because it's going to encompass anywhere that's even buildable. And then the gravel lot will be 3.5 of the 5 acres. You can see number 2 there, what we are paying today for. This is everything, material management, lay down yard, everything it costs us on the material side. In phase 2, what we're suggesting to do is to do the material management ourselves. So you're going to hire that one contract employee, but you can see the dollar amount that's there. It's high because it's not a full-time position, right? Storage containers, we got rentals, so we're gonna have to do that for the stuff that needs to be put inside. And then other supplies includes a bunch of other stuff that you would need. So that totals that 181.9. So basically, if you take what we're paying or what we expect to pay for how we do materials and fiber today, subtract it from what it would cost us to do it, that's the potential savings that we would see. If you look at the investment in the fence and the gravel, would move all of the material from where the layout is today to here. It's basically an offset. There's a little bit of savings, but I would say it's pretty much a flush. So we are recommending to go ahead and move our laydown yard, and this is something that we would want to do right away because of the weather. And we would want to get everything moved over there quickly because the quicker we can move over here, the quicker we can stop paying that vendor. And so I think it makes a lot of sense just because it's basically going to be a wash in money and we'll have a hard asset up here. This was an idea Sam came up with and I said, go with it, run the numbers, see what it brings out. And we sat and discussed for a while, and this is kind of what we came up with. And what's my recommendation is definitely to move forward. But like I said, we'd have to do it soon because with the weather coming up and all that, we want to be ready to go with our materials when they get here. We don't want to have to move them from there to here.
There'll be time to get that.
We think so. I win. Well, we think we can start. I mean, we're not going to get, how do I want to say this? We probably won't have materials here until mid-January, end of January, to be honest, in mind. So we start digging this and getting the fence in now. It's going to be tight. But if, in worst case, we're just going to move it.
We're not going to need. I don't know that initially you're not going to need all the 3.5 right off the bat. If you can get yourself one, you can get the first sets of stuff out there. To get 1 acre ready to put stuff on, ain't going to take
30. We don't do this work right away.
Yeah,
That's pretty short notice.
we'll have Sean work it.
Then what about the hired contractor?
We would start on that right away.
So you don't have anyone in.
No, but from what Sam told me, that was a little bit of a worry of mine. What Sam told me is with Entrust help. So we have a project manager here on site with Sam, and then you have our 2 QC people. They're doing a lot of work out there with this material person to make sure that get the right materials, the inventory gets entered in right. All this person needs to be able to do is count and put it into NISC. Entrust takes care of all the rest and unload the trucks.
And then what's going to happen to this space after this project's done?
We'll use it for the well, we're going to need some of it for the fiber business, right? We'll have to have somewhere to put fiber reels and all that other stuff. So you're going to need some of that space. The rest of it we'll use for the electric business. That's why Sam's saying we probably only need 2 to 2.5 for the fiber piece of this. And I'm like, yeah, but we can use the space. I mean, have you guys been out back lately? There's stuff everywhere. I mean, we can always use the extra space. And then if we do a building in the future, this will already be prepared there for it, right?
Brad, a couple of questions. Number 2, the cost associated with that cost item, where is that now? Where's the actual location?
So it's out on right off of, you know where the truck stop's at? Right on the backside of the truck stop. Remember where Milestone they had their plant sitting there for months? It's that lot there.
To me, the numbers are fairly self-explanatory, but I do have a question. This seems to be like a hot button item, a hot ticket item, an urgent. What has prompted the urgency of this? I mean, I've not heard anything. I don't know that any of us heard anything prior to seeing this and hearing this tonight.
So Sam about a month ago says, I wonder if we couldn't move the yard here and save some money. And at the end of the day, we'll have the yard here. And so it was essentially that and maybe some vendor performance kind of prompted this. And so we said, Sam, go run the numbers and go look at it. It took us a month to get all the numbers. We basically had to figure out what we were getting charged.
Went to the one vendor, asked questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'll ask one other, and I think I know the answer to this, but obviously we're under the arrangement we are, and we see what you presented here. Is there another offsite option that would be viable at all?
I don't know that we necessarily looked at that. What I would argue is if we could build the asset, we could build it here and have the space here long-term.
With the discussions we've had regarding a building and everything, it makes perfect sense. I just wanted to ask that question from the amount, number one there versus what would be an operational expense for renting an area cases. I just want to ask that question.
Yeah, I'll be honest, even if you don't have fiber, having that 3.5 acres, even if you don't do a building, I mean, I can walk you guys out there at night and you can look at it. We have no room. We really just, there's not much room back there. You can't put stuff around the substation and stuff like that. You have to have access to it. Having this 3.5 acres basically paid for through savings is even on the electric side of it, is a brainer.
I said the numbers are kind of self-explanatory.
Yeah. And like I said,
I
I mean,
guess my question,
Go ahead, Suzanne.
I guess my question would be, if there's not a contractor already confirmed, then what is the actual urgency of doing it with the weather involved? Because we don't have a contractor, what's going to be done now that was going to be associated with the weather that has to be done that's so urgent?
I think the urgency is just, we would like to get it to where when we start getting phase 2 inventory, which it's going to probably be mid-January, that we can put as much of it here instead of having to move much of it. That's really the urgency.
No, the urgency is we're paying a monthly fee right now. The construction of the main line is done. So the sooner we get out of there, the sooner we stop paying them their monthly fee. I mean, that's really what it was.
That's to the vendor listed above.
Yep.
Yes.
It's part of that 505.
The faster we can get out of the current location, the cheaper.
Was that a month-to-month arrangement?
Yeah.
Do we need other layout yards besides being here for phase 2? Is this centrally located enough?
Or centrally located.
That's another reason that was kind of looked at now was it was nice. We put it, that site was picked because of the location of the build. Now that we're moving more towards this way, it actually makes more sense. I mean, we're going to be driving way out of the way too to get to it. But he is right. I forgot about that, Suzanne. The biggest urgency is the monthly.
The sooner you get it done, the sooner you drop the monthly charge.
Is the number listed in number 2 divided evenly by 12?
It is. He has on that.
I know what we're being charged every month right now.
Close to that number.
Now if you take the number we're being charged now, it's more than that. But that I think is that number 2 is the expected cost. Trying to think how, because there's some other costs no matter what.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't show that though for the world to see.
They're not.
Okay.
I'm not sharing.
Okay, I just.
So I think to simplify things, that's what we've done, right?
Bill we're getting every month, though right now includes more than that, though, 'cause it has other things involved. I believe it has. It's got it's also, right now, we're being charged also for them to carry the inventory. That's the other thing that's not included.
Well, because that number divided by 12 is.
Yeah, that's right here.
Yeah.
That's a monthly fee. Same monthly fee.
It'll save us money and it'll give us an asset at the end of it.
So is there added equipment we got to buy too to handle it?
Probably need that'll be big enough to pick up stuff, which we needed one of them.
That's in our budget. And if we don't, we'll rent one.
So we need a bigger forklift.
Any of that factored in these numbers that you're
The forklift is not because it's in our budget.
We could use the forklift from an electrical standpoint, just because, I mean, anytime we get a big transformer and we got to run a crane, it'd be nice to have something we can just unload it ourselves.
I'm not opposing it. However, I would like some more time just to consider and look at the numbers and think about it. I guess more time. I'm not opposing, but I'm considering more. I would need more time to take a vote for that.
We can't vacate that space out there until we have another place to go to.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's not one.
Yes.
We have any idea on number one, what the time frame is for that to get completed?
No, I mean, last time he did it in 4 days, 5 days.
Meeting in meetings, you mentioned someone you thought they would be.
Yeah. So every month we delay, it's about $75,000 hit, just like.
They're charging us. They mark everything up too.
Say that again. Brett, say your comment again.
So every month we wait is about $75,000 we pay.
Now, part of that includes materials management, which if we bring that more in-house.
That number annualized is not 505.
No.
That number annualized is a whole lot more.
Because 505 does not include the material management portion, which is another 100. In other words, we're not gonna, I don't know whether I should say this on.
Well, that's fine. That's
We're
why.
not gonna pay them to manage the materials.
But that's what I'm saying. The number I see in number two, an annualized number is not, that number divided by 12 is not the number you just gave me.
Correct. Because it doesn't factor in more than, there's more savings there, is what I'm trying to tell you.
So why would this have not included that?
I don't know why would it include it.
Because obviously that makes the case for this a whole lot better. Yeah.
I didn't look at this before. This version of it.
We'll just hold off.
Send an email.
Just talk about it more in executive session. We can talk
Yeah.
more openly about it.
Okay. Okay. Good idea.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay. We could bring it back. It's not that big a deal either.
We'll move on. And then we need to discuss it more. Executive. Every good going on?
Yeah.
One more then. So we have the changes that we went through last month. It's a memo, of course, what's redlined, and then the clean version associated with it. In addition, there's 3 policies that can be rescinded because of the changes in those policies. So, any have additional questions regarding those? I didn't do the comparison. There weren't any additional red line changes from the previous one tonight.
The only difference is that I don't think we talked about 11.7 and 11.01 getting switched over. Pretty much, they were already covered. I think that was the only really change.
Okay.
No, everything else is exactly the same as what we talked about. I don't know if we talked about this or not, but what we're requesting is this be we start, this is effective December 1st. Effective December 1st. And then, because right now, we don't have anything in the wings, or there's nothing in like limbo right now, because this is our slow time usually. So two things. One, anything that's prior will run its old course, because that's how the contracts were wrote. And then anything as of December 1st will go through the new process. It's essentially how we're talking. Which I think originally last month I was telling you guys, maybe the beginning of the year, we're suggesting going ahead now because there's not a lot in, there's not very many opportunities where there's a lull. Yeah. Go for it.
I have just an observation. Bullet point 6, we talk about the class average. And we've obviously, over the years that I've been a director, have talked about averages a lot. On some of these classes, if they're small classes, one number can distort an average fairly significant. And the only note I made to myself was, what about an outlier? What about a category with 8 in it, and you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8?
Then I would argue your rates need to be changed. So rates are built on the average, and you group them in rates to eliminate the outlier.
Eliminate that. Yeah, I understand. We're looking for.
So if you have, and then the second thing I would say, Dale, is the nice thing is the way that we have our rates built now, every year, we're looking back at 2 years worth of usage. If you hit one of the thresholds, we're moving into those groups. So theoretically,
It's fluid, it's liquid, it's being
moving all the time. So you really, if you do have an outlier, it shouldn't be there.
So that's not, those movements from class to class is not based on a cost of service study. It's based on activity.
It's based on their load.
That helps me. As a Steve, I know you and I have talked about information. We talked about medians as opposed to averages, and an outlier can distort an average really significantly. But with that being said, and it's based on actual activity, that kind of mitigates my question.
I would suggest in these groups that, because I'm a big statistical, use a median or use an average, and the answer is when your standard deviation or your variation is smaller, averages is what you want, right? Whereas opposed to when you have huge variations, you want the median. And I would argue that if we have huge variations, then we don't have our classes set, and we do that study every time we do a cost of service. We look at it. So,
Well, again, the fact that we're moving them based on actual activity
and that,
annually or by it is I think appropriate.
So when someone's ready to make a motion, we'll approve the red line changes along with the rescinded policies 217.
effective December 1st.
No other discussion? I know this has been a
Right, we've had another play,
topic and it's
had another play
been
for a little while.
it's been a seed item for a lot of extracurricular activity. Say it that way. I mean, if there's no other discussion or questions, right, I'll make that motion.
So the motion's been made to approve the red line and rescinding the three policies.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. So that's unanimous. All right, we'll continue onward with the tariffs that are included. There's a few red lines, not a whole lot, right, Brad?
Yeah, I can explain. So as you guys, as we went through the last cost of service study, we said we were going to create a small single phase and a large single phase. Keep them on the same rates. This would give us the ability to move people to the appropriate one within the next couple of years. That way, when we do a rate study next time, we will have the appropriate people in each class, and we can actually do a cost of service study to see what the difference between the large and the small load factors are in single phase. So nothing changes in either the large single or the small single phase. As far as the rates are exactly the same, the only difference is you're putting in a limit. So 25 is our normal residential. That's the top size transformer you're going to put in residential. Typically, anything over that is not necessarily residential, right? So 75 is where or 25 is where we're capping it. That was recommended by our rate consultant based upon the engineering analysis we have on what our plant uses for residential. So 25 is cut off. Rates stay exactly the same. Time of use, this was built based upon the numbers that obviously make sense, the appropriate numbers. So what we added there was the super off peak. So you'll have one for large, one for small. The Appendix A, the changes here are, number one, there's some clarifying stuff, but the major change is really so when Hoosier changes their rates in April of 26, they're zeroing their tracker and putting it in their base rates, but we're not doing that, right? So we're leaving it in our tracker. So we have to be able to, I need to be able to clarify that in the appendix here to allow us to do that because we're not changing our rates, essentially.
The super off peak time is 365, right? That's not 365 days a year, super off peak.
Yeah, oh yeah. The other thing to note on these is these will be effective. I think I got the wrong date on. These will be effective April 1st of 26 because we're going to have to build. Well, it aligns with Hoosier and we have to build the super off peak rates. We have to put the mechanism into NIST essentially.
I'd asked you, Brett, about the meter testing charge, if that was, while we're changing things, if that needed to be changed or not.
Yep, and I talked to Crystal about it. She said, we just changed that literally a year ago. And she said, it's all based upon the cost of what we have in to do the testing and stuff and not the meters. So she said, no, we're not. I called her right after you texted. I will say that there probably will be some formatting changes to these that I didn't get put into here. We didn't have time. It's not going to look, I mean, it's going to look a lot different, but it will be different.
The verbiage will be
Correct. If it's not, we'll bring it back for approval.
obviously. So as you said, it won't go into effect until April 26.
Correct.
Any questions? So for a motion to approve the changes that just discussed.
So moved.
We have a first. Regular. We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. All right, that's unanimous as well. All right, so we have those changes in place. We'll continue with the agenda. Did we have anybody that went to any training or conferences?
I didn't, but I did attend at the end of October. I wanted to mention it. I almost mentioned the safety minute. But I attended the safety function at Westport Volunteer Fire Department.
Did you go to that? Good.
That was good. Abby and Ashley did a nice job. Chuck, whatever the gentleman's name, I saw the payment to him. That was really, really interesting. I mean, it was a nice gathering. It was volunteer firemen, the police, of course, the police got called out on a run in the middle of it. It was really, really Hoosier Line, a live line. Hoosier Energy did a live line. Really, really practical and well received. Of course, they did the Mylar balloon. One gentleman did he had I think it was helmet with ball on it. The static being through. It's really, really.
So that's the fourth one of those. That was a strategic initiative that we did back, you guys did back last time we did a strategic. We went about the game with and it was part of our risk mitigation where we were get on sites and like there's live lines still there and there's no police around. So that's what we've been.
40, 50 people. I mean, it was well attended. Chicken was good too.
Thanks for going to that.
Anybody else?
I will mention, I did attend the legislative appropriation through IEC on Monday. And in that, all of the state reps, state senators are invited. We basically meet with them and discuss things. Unfortunately, I did not sit at a table related to our district, but the big topic was really all about redistricting in Indiana, as you can imagine. So that was certainly discussed. But I know it was the day before their representatives went back in session. So I did that with you. As far as affiliated organizations, Brian, you got anything? Jason?
Yeah, we had a meeting in November at Hoosier. The minutes of the meeting are included in your call to order. Just a couple of highlights from that. We've been talking about accomplishments of 2025 for Hoosier. The first one being the $677 million numeric grant money is still in play. That will begin when we start making payments to the Palisades project. Those funds are going back directly to member consumers through a rider that will be handled on the power bill. So the details of how that's going to be handled will be forthcoming. That's not all ironed out yet, but it looks like it's going to be some kind of rider on our power bill. So, but that is still in play and it's supposed to still be happening. We spent a lot of time on the Finance and Audit Committee. It goes through, prepares a 5-year business outlook that's approved by the board. It's updated annually. The takeaway from that is that rates will be stable. There are no major increases in rates expected in the near term. So that's very good. So if you think about all the things that all the cost increases that we've seen over the last year or two, to say that our rates are going to stay the same is a pretty big accomplishment. So that's really it. We have no more meetings this year.
Okay. We'll be getting it next year though.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. And we did not have a IC meeting. Of course, I wanted to remind everybody that the annual meeting is coming up on the 9th. There are, I believe, a survey that we've been asked to go ahead and complete. So if you've not had that opportunity, feel free to go ahead and do that. Again, the 8th and 9th of December annual IC. Before we adjourn, and we will be going into executive session. Does anyone have anything else? In the open session. All right, we got a motion to adjourn.
I'll
We are
second.
adjourned. Okay, thanks, Suzanne. Can we keep her online?